Do you even think about why humans are the only animal species to clearly demonstrate left or right-handedness? I am a left-handed person and this question always bothered me. How people tend to prefer one hand over another, and why, at 80%, it is the right hand. Why there are no equal distribution for hand choosing. Not even apes, our closest biological species, possess such a decided lateral asymmetry, as psychologists call it. For most animals, the preference is seemingly random. Chimpanzees, gorillas, and other non-human primates do not show a consistent bias for one hand or another, which means that our handedness arose sometimes after chimp and human lines went their evolutionary way. Let's move to the beginning of handedness, to the gestures. People move their hand while speaking, because speech gestures are unintentional hand motions that are created in tandem with speech and naturally accompany all spoken language. All known civilization and linguistic groups use gestures, which are essential to communication. Indeed, infants make gestures before speaking their first words. There are no scientific based description of why people start to use gestures. However, many believe that it is simply because something cannot be expressed by our mouths. Our hands aid in speech, thoughts, and memory, occasionally disclosing special information that cannot be provided verbally yet. Spontaneous hand preference for gesturing is associated with hemispheric dominance in language processing and the types of meaning and functions of gestures. You'll be surprised to learn that the main theory of why majority of people are right-handed is our ability to speak. That fact directs attention towards two brain hemispheres and perhaps towards the language. The interest in hemispheres dates back to 1836. That year, at a medical conference, French physician Marc Dex reported on unusual commonality among his patients. During his many years as a country doctor, he encountered more than 40 men and women for whom speech seems difficult as a result of some kind of brain damage. What was unique was that each individual suffered damage to the left side of their brain. At the conference, he stated on his theory that each side of the brain is responsible for certain functions and that the left side controls the speech. Furthermore, the left hemisphere controlling the right side of the body and vice versa. So, the evolution of speech is the reason of our handedness. As more people start to talk, more the left hemisphere starts to develop, and as the brain evolved, one side becomes specialized for the fine control of movement, and along with this evolution came right-handedness. But if those correlations are true, they didn't explain what actually caused left-handedness. Research has shown that there are also genetic or inherited elements for handedness. The probability that two right-handed people would have a left-handed child is only 9.5%. The chances rises to 19.5% if one of parents is left-handed, and to 26% if both of parents are lefties. However, research conducted on twins complicates this situation, as one of 5 sets of identical twins involve one right-handed person and one left-handed person, despite of having totally same genetical material. Genes, hence, are not solely responsible for handedness. But why lefties have ability to speak clearly? From my personal experience, I can prove that left-handers can be very talkative. Psychologists now believe that among right-handed people, 95% have their language center in the left hemisphere. Left-handers do not show a reverse pattern. They also have language center in the left hemisphere. So for them, right hemisphere is simply stronger. That's why they become lefties. So let's complicate the situation more and talk about ambidextrous. What is ambidextrous? Anatomically, being ambidextrous means having both sides of the brain symmetrical. Ambidextrous individuals can freely switch from one hand to another in order to perform any manual functions with ease, which is very rare. Coming in at only 1% of all humans in the world who are truly capable to altering from hands. Can we teach ourselves to become ambidextrous as adults? A study has shown that we actually become more ambidextrous on our own, in part because our hands start to lose its dominance. Some people believe that attempting to become ambidextrous can help to strengthen the brain and fight the effects of aging or dementia. However, Professor Ocklenburg said that it is a myth. While it is true in general that brain training are very beneficial when aging, what is actually getting strengthened is what is trained. If I try to write with my non-dominant hand, this would affect the motor areas of contralateral half of the brain, not the areas involved in memory. Thus, specific memory training would be more beneficial when aging. To conclude, as a person who uses left hand to do many things in my life, I have encountered many situations which are not visible to the right-handed people, in which I had to adjust or find any other way to deal with it. The most simple example is handshaking. It is generally acknowledged that people handshake or high-five with their right hand, as it is their dominant hand. However, for me, the left hand is dominant, so I often bring the wrong hand to shake. Furthermore, there was a misunderstanding when I was a child, when they said that the right side is the side of which our hand's writing. And for several months I believed that the right side is the left, until one time I was asked to turn left, and I turned right. It is still difficult to me to quickly distinguish where the right side is. Popular wisdom says that right-brained people possess more creative potential, as they are prevalent among artists, composers, and generally acknowledged political thinkers. However, it is my personal opinion that they become more creative simply because they had to adjust in the right-handed world. Thank you!